Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you on the East Coast, and if you're further west from us, then good morning, and happy early Father's Day to all the fathers for this weekend. My firm, Decision Digital, has been using Tigerpaw since 2002. We're firmly committed to it and use a lot of the automation, and we spend quite a bit of time helping other customers who use Tigerpaw as well. For the sake of those of you who don't know us or know what we do, we're in the network IT space. So we do a lot of managed services, technology consulting, network design, infrastructure, all those kind of things. But we've got a really wide level of experience in different vertical markets through the work that we do on the networking end, as well as the Tigerpaw coaching and professional services that we do in order to assist Tigerpaw. Today I was going to focus some time on kind of one of the unsung heroes in the Tigerpaw arsenal. And that's the email connector. But before we talk about that, I wanted to kind of draw everybody's attention to some of the other things about Tigerpaw that you may not even know. So the Tigerpaw Universe is really comprised of Tigerpaw and a whole bunch of little plugins that are all over the place. Now, I've put some of my favorites up here on the screen. You can import quotes from different vendors. Most of you know about the credit card processing that's built in, even the remote management integration, email integration, QuickBooks integration. You can profile the database and do cleanup activities. And there's also disaster recovery services. So if you take a look at the left-hand picture, you'll see I've kind of marked all these different ones out here and put some of the names out here of the ones that are some of my personal favorites. The reason I'm showing this is because a lot of times I speak to people that use Tigerpaw who just aren't aware that there's this collection of third-party plugins and add-ons that are out there that they can use to make Tigerpaw even better. So these are ones that are really good to look at. There is a page on the Tigerpaw website, which I have a link to a little bit further in the presentation, that you can go out and read about all the different ones that are available. I encourage everyone to check these out. It's always a nice surprise to find something that will help make your business even more profitable and more efficient. Let's talk about the email connector. So the email connector is a product that runs on the server that has been available from Tigerpaw for a little while. It allows customers to send emails directly to an email address. It comes inbound and it automatically creates a service order in Tigerpaw, which is super cool in and of itself. Now, why would you need that and have the portal as well and things like that? It really serves to do something a little bit different with customers. We have the portal in place. We have email connector in place. We find that a lot more people use the email connector for ease of use. They like the ability just to send an email to a single email address. In our case, it's requests@Decision Digital. And when they do, it automatically does a lookup behind the scenes of their account, and it creates a service order, puts all the information in there. It'll even handle attachments that a customer sends and attach those to the service order. And then from there, it will go into the hopper for us to assign to one of our engineers. So it's a really easy way to request service orders. Customers can also update service orders. Once they've sent an email in and it's created a service order, with the way we have Tigerpaw set up, they receive a confirmation email. They know the service order number from that point forward. If they reply to that email, any information that they send back in that reply will automatically be dropped into the service order notes within Tigerpaw. Super, super cool. No calls back and forth, no long email threads going back and forth. It all goes directly into the service order notes. Once that service order has been created and correspondence begin between a customer and the tech, anything that goes back and forth from that point forward will be captured in the service order and will also be emailed to the tech that's assigned to it. I know that sounds a little strange. I'll tell you how that works. Here's the real benefit of doing this. You'll see my little cartoon little thing here on the screen. Never fear the bus again. This is a big gaping hole that a lot of people have in their organizations in terms of understanding where anybody is in the life cycle of a service order. So if your folks are doing what they're supposed to do at the end of every day or even while they're doing work, they're capturing their time and they're capturing the notes of everything that they're doing. The whole idea behind this is, God forbid something happens to that person, they're late, they're sick, or something else happens, you should be able to open up the service order at any given time and know exactly where that person left off. So it's good to have all the notes in there from the tech, but boy, Most people don't feel comfortable trying to rifle through an individual person's email to find out the correspondence between them and a customer. In fact, you really shouldn't have to. The email connector does away with all that, and it starts to push you in the direction of Tigerpaw really being, as the first slide showed, the center of the universe. Everything and anything that goes on with interacting with your customers, interacting with service, we want it all to be in one place so that at any time you could open up and look, see what's going on, and not have to fumble around through all sorts of stuff. So the reason I have Never Fear the Bus Again is because if everybody's using Tigerpaw, especially the email connector, the right way, everything is always where you want it to be. So how does it work? It's pretty easy. You send an email into a certain email address that you've programmed. All of a sudden, a workflow picks up, and you can see here, a workflow kicks and it says that an email request has been received and an SO has been created, and an SO is populated with the information, as you can see here. And it's really that simple. A lot of people, what they'll do is there's an additional step that they'll come in and they'll change the brief description to being something that's a static brief description that lines up with the static ones they already have created in Tigerpaw. There's nothing more complicated than it is from what you see here as far as once it's in place and what the customer needs to do. It's really, really that easy. From there, we have a workflow that is set up that shows that an email request has been received, and it shows the information about the service request. It's sent out to our engineering team so that they know. So we've got basically a check and a balance here. We have a workflow that creates inside and lets it get a workflow alert, and at the same time it sends an email to our dispatcher and our network service manager to know that an email request has been received from a customer. Everybody needs to know this is all completely automatic. What happens when somebody sends an email in that's not in Tigerpaw? So this kind of drops into the situation of how does Tigerpaw know how to do all this stuff? Well, when you're a customer and you send an email request in to our Tigerpaw, the very first thing that happens behind the scenes is the email connector goes and it does a lookup against your Tigerpaw database. It looks to see if that user exists. Well, if you're like us, you can't possibly have every single person's email address in Tigerpaw. You have many. Most of the time it's a key contact, maybe some other folks. But sometimes there's a user that's requesting support and their email address isn't inside of Tigerpaw. That's okay. What will happen in that situation is Tigerpaw still takes the email in from the customer with the request. It doesn't know what customer they belong to. What happens is it places that particular email into the dispatch board. As long as your dispatch board is set up properly to show SOs and email requests, it'll drop in and look something like this. This is an email request that's come from somebody whose email address is not currently under a customer's name within Tigerpaw. As long as you're looking at the dispatch board, you also receive a workflow that will let you know if something has come in that does not have an account that matches up. You'll see this inside the dispatch board. If you click on this particular message, you'll see this box. This box will come up and it will show the information that's been requested, but here's the most important part up here. You can from here select the account and also map them to a contact within Tigerpaw. If they're not a contact within Tigerpaw, you can create one right here with this button that's actually grayed out. So from that point forward, that person's been added into Tigerpaw automatically. From that point forward, whenever they send an email request in, it will automatically create the service order against the right account. Let me kind of go back through that again. There's two ways that this works. If their email address is in Tigerpaw, when the email request comes through, automatically it will go through and it will do the lookup, find the account that person belongs to, and create a service order against it. If it doesn't know who that user is, it will give you this information so that you can create that user from that point forward. Once that's happened, service order gets created and the magic happens. Really, really works well. One of the other things that's important to mention is attachments. A lot of times customers will want to send attachments in that show a screenshot of an error, some other network diagram, other information, perhaps a spec that they're looking for. Any of that stuff, when it's attached to the email when it comes in, the email connector will automatically parse it and will attach it to the service order so that you can go and see it. They don't have to send a second email with any of those attachments, anything along those lines. Something else that's worth mentioning, many of you have different departments that handle service and support. For example, you have a sales department, you have a support department for certain items. You may have 2 support departments. The email connector has the capability of handling multiple inbound email accounts at the same time. So if you want to have an email connector email address that's published on your website for sales, for example, when someone emails to that address, it creates a service order in that person's account, but it sends a very certain template back to them email-wise that says this is a sales inquiry and thanks them for their interest and perhaps gives them some more information. That's different than handling a service request. Service request requires a service order being opened, and the information that needs to be conveyed to that person is going to be different. Out of the box, the email connector is built to handle 2, 3, 4, as many mailboxes really as you wish, and you can pick different templates with each one of them. So depending on when that message comes in, Tigerpaw knows how to handle those at any given time simultaneously, which is really, really cool. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the type of control that you get. This is a view of what the email connector configuration looks like at the server level. You can see that I have complete control of determining the destiny of those email addresses. For example, any email requests that come in, I can have them come in from and reflect a certain rep. I can determine how it's assigned to people, if it's assigned automatically or if it goes into the hopper. I can determine the status and the type and the priority. All these kind of things can be determined. Think about the power of this for just a moment. So when these emails come in, you can actually tell Tigerpaw exactly how to handle them when it creates the service order. Perhaps you want to know the type of rep they're going assigned to. You want to have them handled in a certain way or a certain priority. All that can be controlled here. You can really determine very specifically how you wish for those service order requests to land in Tigerpaw once they arrive. So if I take you through how this kind of works, it's kind of pretty straightforward. An inbound request is received, a service order gets created, a workflow can then be triggered to let you know that the service order has been created. If the customer updates the service order afterwards, a workflow can trigger an email be sent out to let you know that the service order has been updated. That's real important, especially with a rep that's been assigned. Here you can see the inbox properties of telling the service system exactly how to route those emails when they come inbound. Again, it's pretty straightforward stuff. It gives you a lot of control. Usually once you set everything up the way that it needs to be set, you don't mess around with it again. The controls are really, really nice. It's pretty straightforward to do, and it allows you to really specify exactly how you want different scenarios to be handled. Make that a little bit larger so you can take a look at some of those settings. It's particularly cool what you have the capability of doing. Tigerpaw has really thought this out extremely well. Now, these are some of the key advantages of using the email connector. The customers are always in control from anywhere that they are. The true service order history, start to finish. I need to emphasize absolutely how important this is. Absolutely need to have everything in one place all the time. No more searching through sent emails or lengthy threads. Everybody has to do that time-honored tradition of trying to find where that request or where that information was disseminated to the customer. It's always a waste of time. You can have it all in Tigerpaw all the time and look at everything and see where it all needs to be. It's pretty important to have all that information there. And it's nice to be able to view it when you look at the service order. You'll be able to look at the service order notes and you can see everything that's in there, all the email history that's been sent out and received. Now, let me pause just a second and tell you about the magic of this. Everything I've talked about so far is how easy it is for customers to send email in, for you to respond, for them to be updated. Most people that know about the email connector know about those particular things. There is a magic piece to this that most people don't know about. If you're inside of a service order and you go to send an email to somebody, if you hit the email button from within Tigerpaw and you have the email connector installed, the email is going to be sent out to the customer with your name, but Tigerpaw is going to automatically change the reply to address behind the scenes. So let me kind of talk through this slowly so everybody can understand. The email is going to appear like it came from you, except the reply to address is going to be your email connector reply to address. So in my case, if I sent an email out to one of you as a customer from a service order, it's going to come from Rick Harbor. The reply to address is going to be requests@decisiondigital.com. Here's why that's important. When that email goes out to you and you reply, anything that you say back is going to automatically make its way into the service order notes, and the copy of that email is going to be sent into my inbox. So before, when someone sends an email address or a request in initially, it creates that service order and it goes to everybody here. Once that service order has been assigned to somebody, and email correspondence take place between me and that customer afterwards, as long as I email from Tigerpaw when the customer replies, all those replies land in the service order notes and in my inbox. So all that correspondence stays together. And that's what I mean when I say everything is in one place. Most people that use the email connector don't know about that piece. They feel like it's pretty much just one way in terms of the customer emailing in and the service order being created, and then if they update it, they're sending information again, and it updates it. Think about the importance of this. Let me give you a really good scenario. Whenever we finish up doing any work with a customer, the very last step that we do is we're going to follow up with the customer and let them know that our work is done. We'll send an email to them and let them know that our service order is about to be closed. Our engineers will send that email directly from Tigerpaw. When that email goes out and the customer gets it, they'll acknowledge that either, yes, the work has been completed and thank us, or no, there's still more work that needs to be done. That email is going to come directly back into the tech, and it's going to go into the service order notes. If for some reason a customer somewhere down the line says that we closed that service order without checking in with them, or the work wasn't completed, or something else, we have a place that we can now go look and see exactly what they replied to at any given time. They may have replied back at the time to close the service order, and there may still have been a problem. We now have something that is a de facto area that we can look and make sure that they did in fact reply and what they said at the time. If they say that they didn't instruct us to close the service order, we can certainly go back and look there and see. If we didn't have this in place and the tech was sending stuff out via the normal email, there's virtually no way that we would be able to go back and prove that they replied and exactly what they said. We certainly don't want to be going through all of our people's emails in order to find this kind of stuff. So think about that scenario, for example. Another scenario I can give you is for sales. As you're following up with people on what's going on with a particular deal, or even project management, if you email directly from the service order, as that goes out as the customer replies, all those replies land in the service order notes. You always can go through and you can see a history of everything that's gone on, and there's no fumbling around looking at project folders or saving copies of emails or having to go through an incredibly long email thread to find out where all that important information is. Nope, all that goes away if you use the email connector and have all that stuff coming directly out of Tigerpaw. It's really, really cool when you think about exactly what it can do. So, important links. The Tigerpaw add-on page is located at this page. Here you'll see all the different add-ons, including the email connector, that are available for you to use with Tigerpaw. The Tigerpaw Resource Kit, you can read more about it at this particular link, which is nice. The Resource Kit allows you to go through and do two real big things inside of Tigerpaw. The first thing it does is it allows you to go back and clean up all sorts of data inside Tigerpaw. If you've been using Tigerpaw for a really long time and you have abandoned task types or service order types, or perhaps need to go through and change the way that things were assigned, Trek will allow you to do that. It will also allow you to go through and take a look at all your contracts, all the things that you sold to a customer, and automatically profile them and build them out into the Group Explorer automatically. It's quite cool. You should check it out. The last thing you may want to know about is the Tigerpaw Disaster Recovery Program. Here, if your master Tigerpaw server was to go down, Tigerpaw offers a program in conjunction with us where you can have a disaster recovery server that's available to you and at least get yourself back online and be able to conduct business while you repair your primary server. If you want more information, you can go to that link and you can read about it. Something that everybody should look to take advantage of.
What has your experience been with customers going back to old service orders and replying to those to make first contact on what should be a new service order?
That's a good question. We haven't run into that problem so much. The times that we've had people who have gone to do that, we've contacted them and encouraged them to kind of stop doing that and just send in a new request. The problem is, what will happen is the service order notes will in fact be updated, and if the workflows are set up within Tigerpaw properly, and there's two workflows that revolve around the email connector. One is to let you know when a service order has been updated. The other is when a service order has been created. You won't see the workflow fire for the creating of the service order, but you will see one that'll fire for the service order being updated. The problem that you can potentially run into is the rep that was assigned to that is going to be the one that's going to get alerted about that. And if that rep is still with you, they'll see it and probably kick it over to the right person. If the rep is not with you, it has the ability to get lost. When we do see that happen, we like to have all those email alerts kind of coming to everybody so that we're well aware of what's going on. And if we do see that, we can respond back to the customer and say, we've created a new service order, reference this email from that point forward in order to keep that from happening.
Great, thank you. Next question, where do the attachments go within the service order?
Another good question. The attachments will go into the documents. So inside of a service order, you'll have a link at the top that is a documents hyperlink. That will take you directly to where those attachments live. In the setup of the email connector, you get to specify a folder where you want all those items to land. And then Tigerpaw behind the scenes takes care of putting the linkage into the service order. It basically saves them into a common area that's separated by accounts. And Tigerpaw puts the linkage in the service order automatically so that when you click on documents, it'll present you with the dialog box and show you all the different things the customer has attached, and then you can pick the one that you need to look at.
Great. Are the outbound emails in rich text, HTML, or plain text?
They can be in any. So the way that the outbound emails work, it depends on how you've set up your email templates inside Tigerpaw. So you can create them however you wish, as rich as you wish, or as naked as you wish. That really depends on you. I can give you, if I can take my Tigerpaw hat off for just a moment and put my network hat on, I can share with everybody that the more rich that you make your emails these days, the more opportunity you have that they're going to be blocked or even stripped. A lot of firewall and threat management systems these days are making it common practice to strip off JPEGs and other types of things that make emails a little bit more colorful and more appealing because they can be payloads for viruses or malware. So I would tell you that while everybody has a little bit of a creative side, I would encourage you with your Tigerpaw emails, if you want them to be received and read and certainly not put into spam or even clobbered on a virus control system, you probably want to leave them in relatively plain text as much as possible to make sure that they get the information across to the customer, but more importantly that they get there without being stripped. Most of the time what you'll see happen, which nobody likes to see, is an email that arrives that's got information in it and it's got a big box at the top with a red X where a graphic is supposed to be, and countermeasure systems are blocking it from retrieving it because it thinks that there's a virus opportunity.
All right, great. When sending the email out of Tigerpaw, is there a copy of that kept in my sent items in Outlook?
That is going to depend on how you have Tigerpaw set to send email. Inside of Tigerpaw, let me see if I can drag this over because I can show you. There's two ways that Tigerpaw actually sends out emails through a system. One way is directly to your mail server, and the other one is to slave through Outlook. So let me pull this up real quickly and see if I can slide it over. Yeah, I can. So, Corey, can you see that on your screen?
I can.
Okay, so this is inside of the account rep maintenance area, which is under master tables. Here you can see that this is how Tigerpaw determines how outbound emails are sent. We have our set to go directly to our mail server, and so in this particular case, it would not appear in your Outlook sent items. If you had this checkbox checked up here, any mail that goes out is basically going to appear in two places. It's going to appear in Tigerpaw, and it's going to appear in your sent items inside of Outlook. There is a caveat here. The way that Outlook works from 2010 forward, many times when you try to slave your email directly through it, you will get that very annoying box that comes up that says some program is trying to send stuff through Outlook. I want to make sure if it's okay. You can acknowledge, yes, that it's all right. Depending on the version of Outlook that you're running, sometimes you can just do that once for a certain period of time. Other versions of Outlook, every single time an email goes out, it pops that box up and makes you acknowledge it. Microsoft calls that a security protection measure. Most users call it ridiculously annoying. There are a lot of people who don't wish to see that come up all the time, and they wish for everything to go directly to their mail server, which is what this checkbox is for. But everything is always captured inside of SO Notes.
But somebody tack on here that said, please also mention that it's much faster to set to SMTP instead of Outlook.
It is 100% faster, no doubt about it. And I would encourage everybody that unless you really have a reason to have all that stuff caught inside of Outlook, to send it via SMTP. It's not only is it faster, it's much, much more efficient. And Tigerpaw seems to run a lot better when you do it that way. That's a very good point that person made.
Great. Thank you, Steve. We have a couple questions about integration with Google and Gmail. I think I can field this one. The current email connector currently works with Outlook only. We are building a Gmail integration to be available next quarter. And so be watching for that announcement coming out very soon. But we don't currently have that in operation. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Someone's asking to put the links back up for the disaster recovery offering.
Oh, absolutely not. Hold on a second. I'll move back here for everybody so they can see it. All right, everybody. Now you're in. There you go. Kind of feel like you're in the Wayback Machine.
There you go.
If you've got questions about the disaster recovery or the Trek pieces, the last slide in here's got contact information. We'll have my email address, so anybody can feel free to contact me, and I'll be glad to direct them.
All right. We've got two last questions for you here, Rick. What steps are involved in installing email connector so that we and our customer can both be up to date?
On the Tigerpaw side, the email connector is a pretty simple install. It's best installed on your SQL server, and then from there, there are a series of tabs along the top that you need to configure. Let's go back real quick. I'm going to jump out of this for just a minute and go back to this slide and show you. Here we go. So there are, what you need to know, there's a couple of things you need to have in place beforehand. You certainly want to have email templates created first about how to acknowledge those things. So an email template, for example, that says that we've received your support request, you probably want to have that configured first. And the second thing you're going to need to do is have an email address that you've created specifically for the email connector to use. So what happens is email connector gets installed. You program the information about how to have it talk to your mail server. In this case, the email connector uses POP3 in order to communicate with the mailbox. And what it does is it checks that mailbox at a certain interval, and whatever is in there, it pulls those messages in and it processes them. This is the way that it works. You can see with this, in this slide on the right-hand side, you can see the inbox editor. It's pretty straightforward to set that particular piece of it up. That mailbox needs to be a mailbox that's dedicated completely to email connector and is not used by a user in any way. The left-hand side shows you what you need to do as far as setting up Tigerpaw and telling Tigerpaw what to do when that email is received. The email acknowledgement it's going to send out, how it's going to set the different things inside of the service order. That's what all those settings are down the left-hand side. The other tabs that are across the top that you can see from the right-hand picture is you'll tell Tigerpaw, the email connector, where your Tigerpaw database lives. So it's got connection information. You tell it where to put the global attachments. And one of the other things that it will do, you'll see a tab that says Global Emissions. This will prevent you from actually having the email connector take in attachment types that perhaps you want to forbid. There's one customer that comes to mind that had us set this up for them. One of their customers, when they were sending an email request in, was actually shooting video of what the errors were in their computers. These files were coming in at an extraordinarily large size. So you can imagine somebody shooting a high-def video showing you the errors in their computer, and that coming in as being something like a 50 meg file. And they just absolutely wanted to strip that off. Probably more so to teach the customer a lesson, but you've got the capability of telling the email connector to ignore certain types of files when it brings stuff in if you wish. It's not terribly hard to set up. As long as you have some of this stuff in place, then the install and the configuration is pretty straightforward to do. If you want to do it and you need assistance, reach out to us. We'll help you. If you've already got it in place and don't think that it's working right, let us know. We'll take a look at it with you and see what's going on.
Great. A couple more here. Can you also include emails between carriers on the service order as well? And is there a way that some of these emails can be hidden from the view of the customer when they receive the invoice? They're looking for a complete service order history for the originator, but cleaned up for the version for the customer.
I'm not sure I understand the first portion about hiding it from the carrier. Can we get a little bit of an understanding of what that means? As far as the second part of the question, if the service order history, a lot of this is going to depend on how that customer invoices, how that Tigerpaw person invoices their customer. Remember that all this information that's coming in, the only thing that lands in the work requested is the very first email that gets sent inbound. The email connector will scrape that information and plant it in the work requested. From that point forward, all correspondence that go back and forth between the customer and the Tigerpaw customer are all going to land in the service order notes. Now, those are not visible to the customer unless you make them visible. So the only way that I can think of you would make those visible to a customer would be in the portal if you enabled the ability for the customer to see service order notes, which I would discourage anybody from doing. Other than that, unless you copy and paste all those correspondence into the work performed, customer's not going to see it. The only people that are going to see it is people who have access to the actual service order from within Tigerpaw. And when I say within Tigerpaw, within the client of Tigerpaw and not the portal of Tigerpaw. Does that answer that question properly?
Brent, does that satisfy your question? Yes.
Good.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you. Would the customer be using a customer portal at their end to update the service orders, or will that happen through the connector?
That's a good question. The answer is they can do either one. Ease of use, the way that Tigerpaw, that the email connector works, is they can either reply to a message that's come out of Tigerpaw, or they can send an email in to update the service order. So you're probably saying, okay, well, how does it know? It's really, really easy. As long as the service order number appears in the subject line, and in specific, it needs to say service order and then the service order number. It can be at the beginning of the subject line in the email. It can be in the middle. It can be in the end. As long as it's in there, the email connector will see that, and it will do the lookup, and it will update the service order notes with whatever is being sent in. I think I just heard a collective across everybody on the conference because they didn't probably understand exactly how that worked. So if a customer doesn't have an email that was sent to them to acknowledge it, and they know the service order number, they can send an email into you that says service order number 12345, and any notes that they put in there will automatically be dumped into the service order notes if they've misplaced or deleted or lost that first email that came out. So there's a couple of different ways that can be updated. You can obviously go into the customer portal as long as you know the SO, or you can look through your SO list, and you can update it from there as well.
Great. There's one last question here. Is there anything in the works for Tigerpaw to interface with iCal or any calendar that I can use both with Tigerpaw and a mobile device so I don't have to keep up with two different calendars? There's a couple different things here. One, you could use Tigerpaw Mobile to track your calendar. Your reps would have their task and their calendar inside of Tigerpaw Mobile. Or Exchange Integrator also handles this, so if you're scheduling tasks and appointments inside of Tigerpaw and you have Exchange Integrator, it will sync with your Outlook calendar, and if you have Outlook synced to your phone, it will update your calendar on your mobile device as well.
There has been conversation. There was a conversation, and just for the sake of letting everybody know, there's a suggestion that was floated by our team a little while ago, and there was conversation that started with Tigerpaw, and I know the conversation ensues about entertaining the opportunity of having active sync services built into Tigerpaw. In order to, the feeling has always been that most everybody out there is running Exchange, and that's the mail platform of choice. As time has gone by and more people have moved to things like Office 365 and Gmail and AppRiver and Merrick and MDAME, there's a lot of mail systems that are out there now, and Exchange doesn't seem to have the stranglehold on it like it used to. So we started a dialogue a little while back with the folks over at Tigerpaw about looking at using ActiveSync as the means to synchronize mail, contact, calendar stuff, because most everybody that's on the call, and Corey, I know this is true of you too, we all carry mobile phones and tablets. ActiveSync is the protocol that is used to do all that synchronization. It's a well-established standard. It's lightweight. It does a lot of cool things. But if that gets built into Tigerpaw, then it gives Tigerpaw the ability to communicate with any mail server and device on the planet. I would encourage people on the phone, if you've got interest in seeing that happen, then give feedback to Tigerpaw that that's something that you would like to see. I know that they listen to the feedback from everybody, and the more people that say that that's appealing to them, especially if you're on a non-Exchange mail system, I think the higher up on the list of priorities that can move. And Tigerpaw certainly is interested in hearing things like that, and I know they listen. So ActiveSync would be the way to solve that for everybody. So make noise about it, folks, and let people know that that's something you'd like to see in the product.
Yeah, that's a great intro for me to kind of plug the Tigerpaw community. If you visit tigerpaw.com and join the community, we have development voting, and we also take suggestions out in the forum, and we monitor. And you can find links to webinars like this out there, and you can also find threads where people are having issues, and maybe ones that you've experienced yourself, and you can participate in the conversations out there as well.
Outstanding. Well, my contact information is up on the screen for everyone. If you've got questions or want to know more information, you can certainly feel free to reach to me. By all means, please feel free to reach to Tigerpaw and ask whatever questions that you have. There's a great and incredible amount of knowledge that has been amassed by us and Tigerpaw. Don't feel like you're walking through some of this stuff alone. I feel pretty comfortable saying that if you're running into a problem with the email connector, one of these other plugins, or something else within the Tigerpaw universe, you're probably not the first person to encounter that problem. So avail yourself to the resources that are out there in order to get yourself where you need to be. If you're using these pieces with Tigerpaw, I can't tell you how much better the experience can be. If you like Tigerpaw now, if you use some of these plugins and add-ons, you will love what Tigerpaw can do. So please make yourself known that you'd like to ask some questions. Feel free to email me or contact me, and whatever is outside of what I can do, trust me, I will direct you to the right person in Tigerpaw to make something happen.